Oh, we got Jay up there. Move that.
Call this meeting of the TDC to order. If we could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call.
Present.
Pamela Cronin. Here. Tony Lappy.
Here.
Jay Johnson.
Here.
Robert Wells.
Here.
Bill Marchulis.
Good morning.
Councilman Bill Stein.
Here.
Vice Mayor Scott Sanford.
Here.
John Meyer.
Here.
And Councilman Lori Fahey, Councilman Michael Foley, and Commissioner Cecil Pendergrass and Vice Mayor Holly Smith are excused, as well as Brian Kramer.
Thank you. First order of business is the approval of the last minutes. Are there any changes to be made? I have one small one under the member minutes, member notes. It says that I nominated Tony Lappy for Hotelier of the Year. I only had the pleasure of making the motion. John Lai was the one that nominated him. And also Tony is the Hotelier of the Year for FRLA, and it's not just a nomination. So I think those changes I appreciate. Again, congratulations, Tony. Can I get an approval with those changes?
So moved.
Thank
I'll
you.
second.
And a second. Any opposed? Hearing none, that passes. Moving to public to be heard. Anyone from the public today that wants to be heard? Once, twice? Municipalities to be heard. Cape Coral.
Okay. We do have one member of the public that would like to speak.
Okay. Did I miss it? We'll come back around. We'll come back to you. Did I miss you? I'm sorry. I didn't see the hand go up. I didn't. All right.
Morning, Council. Joe Petrella, Parks and Recreation Director for the City of Cape Coral. Recently, we opened up J.C. Park on April 30th. We had a previous request in for $14,395, but it was ineligible since the park was not open. So I was just hoping we can get reconsideration of that project, that funding to fund the shoreline maintenance program for J.C. Park. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll stick with municipalities. Any other municipalities to be heard? Cape Coral again.
Hi, good morning. Ashley Anderson, City of Cape Coral. I just wanted to give you a little bit of an update. Serena Vista Park Boardwalk and Overlook has been completed. This is the photos of that. We're still, I think there's some better photos of updated ones, but this is what I had, and it's beautiful. And we look forward to utilizing that in that area. And this was beach and shoreline funded, so we just wanted to thank you for that. Cape Coral's crowd pulling events. We had Cape Coral Bike Night. We saw 8,000 visits. Brew Fest, we also had at Cultural Park, and that was about 900 visits. Cultural Fest had over 2,000 visits, and J.C. Park grand opening that our Parks and Rec Director just mentioned, we had 2,000 visits just on the grand opening day, and we're very excited about that. Coming up in the Cape, as you all know, Red, White, and Boom in July. We're mentioning that now, even though it's in May, but we are looking to really amplify that event this year and get more visitors than last year, especially since it's America's 250th celebration. So we're looking forward to you disseminating that information to your networks. And then our tourism spotlight is Wicked Dolphin. I'm sure all of you know, but I want to remind you this year that they have opened their Wicked Garden. It's a tiki area in the back. They have rum tastings, free distillery tours, gift shop, and private events. So this is another event space that you can rent out as well if you have people coming in the area. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other municipalities to be heard? Going back to public vote. No hats today.
Good morning, everybody. So we're here representing Southern Fresh Farms here in Fort Myers, Florida. Maybe some of you have heard of us, haven't. We've been around for over 12, almost 13 years now. Previously owned by my parents, Robert and Shelley McMahon. And I'm a born native son of this Fort Myers area of Lee County. And it's my honor to take over Southern Fresh Farms from my parents to keep the agriculture, the generations of farmers in this area alive. My grandfather farmed here, my father farmed here, and they're part of the old generation of ag that used to represent this area, which maybe some of you do or don't know is getting smaller and smaller every year. So it's an honor of mine and John to continue the ag representation here in Lee County, but also bring it into the tourism world. Agritourism, something that's really catching on, especially the last 5 years. It's no longer just kind of this unique fad thing. Agritourism is a real thing, and there's a lot of other businesses locally that are thriving in it. Just some examples of numbers of what we've been able to do just with limited social media presence. We had Gator Fest about a month ago. We had almost 4,200 visitors come to our facility in 2 days. And the week before that, with just a social media post, we had 1,200 people visit for an Easter event. So those numbers are real, and they're looking for it. And obviously, Lee County, Fort Myers, our biggest tourism is the beach. There's no way around that. But agritourism is also a very cool thing to diversify the tourism abilities of this area, which to me, in my opinion, like I said, I'm from here. Southwest Florida is the best part of Florida. You've been everywhere. We have the most diverse everything. And it'll be a privilege of mine to help build this. My parents helped build an amazing place, and with Caleb Johnson, a small ownership group, we're really doing a lot of upgrades, uplifts, and we're trying to put together some concepts and ideas of how we can properly promote, advertise agritourism, but it's also to educate farming. One of the cool things about our location is this location, as we are an active farm. Right here in town, right off Daniels Parkway, close to Interstate. So we're a drivable, very quick shot to everywhere in Fort Myers. And to be able to educate, show, and even have young kids be able to experience how things are grown, to feed and pet an animal, is a very exciting thing for me. And so we were invited in. We wanted to come and introduce ourselves, and we look forward to being a part of these groups. We're going to get involved, and we look forward to working with everybody to help build Southwest Florida to continue to be the best area in Florida. Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you. So any other public municipalities to be heard? Make sure I didn't miss anybody. Great. We have a special update, a special presentation today. Steve, or the RSW?
If I may.
Oh, I didn't see you sneak in.
My name is Ron Congdon. I am with the Hometown Studios by Red Roof. I came in last month to tell you guys that we were close to opening. I wanted to formally let you know that we did open on April 23rd and invited our first guest, also known as a bed taxpayer, on April 25th. We have 124 studios. We are located on Executive Circle. We back up to Colonial Boulevard near Veronica Shoemaker, across from McGregor Baptist Church.
Great, thank you.
We will be putting out, we're going to be partnering with the Greater Fort Myers Chamber here in the next couple of days, and we'll be looking forward to doing a grand opening probably in June, possibly July.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Special presentation on RSW.
Good morning. Steve Hennigan, representing the airport. So just want to start off with just some generalized background. So the Port Authority comprises the two airports, RSW and Page Field. I'll be talking today primarily about RSW, our international airport. So as probably a lot of you know, we opened the current location in 2005 with about 798,000 square feet and those 28 gates. Today we have 27 gates because we moved some things around. The fun fact about what I'm about to show you is that 798,000 square feet with the 200,000, a little bit 200,000 plus consolidated 600,000 square foot Terminal E. We're going to be doubling our size in the next 2 years. The big thing we also like to extol in the community is we are self-sufficient through our rates and fees, parking garages. We love it when you buy an extra cup of coffee because we don't take taxes. That's how we fund ourselves. So the airport itself, 14,000 acres. It is the third largest by land mass in the United States, third behind Dallas and Denver. That 7,000 acre mitigation park, kind of a little bit east of Alico off of Corkscrew, is for our additional runway that was coming up. It helped offset the water rights that we needed for that. We do have customs, CBP, on site. We are a foreign trade zone. One of the unique features about our foreign trade zone is you don't need to be on airport property. You can be in the community. And for the longest time, from pubs at the airport, we were about 4,500. This past year, we've gone up. Our number at LCPA has stayed pretty much steady. But with the new addition, just the food court and the concessions that I'll show you in a little bit, we expect about 600 incremental FTEs there, plus whatever, all of the growth of the airline. So we expect that number to go up closer to 7,000 in the next few years. So this is, I like this slide, but it's a little bit outdated. We should be getting something soon. The 5 million annual enplaned passengers, we're closer to 6 million. So I figure that 8.3 billion is probably closer to 9 billion of direct economic impact that trickles out to all of you. So RSW by the numbers. So if you look at where we are today, I guess this last year, calendar year, about 11.1 million passengers, about a little over 1% increase, but it's neat when you say 1% is about 150,000 people. So we're growing incrementally. Again, 27 gates, we're adding 14 more gates. That's a big, I don't want to say unknown, but that number we expect to grow exponentially. Our top markets, probably not a surprise, a lot of cold locations. Chicago, Boston, and Minneapolis are generally our top three. Boston and Minneapolis, depending on who likes the baseball spring training, will ebb and flow, but those are primarily where your large hubs are. Something happened to that. So this shows our international. You can kind of see Discover there. That is our top European market because we have that direct flight. London, Munich, Paris, and Amsterdam round out that top five. Toronto is our primary to Canada on the right with Air Canada, Rouge, and WestJet. We have Porter seasonal, and they hit Ottawa and Montreal as well as, well, they used to do Vancouver, but Vancouver and Calgary through connections round out that top five there. So,
just to tell them, that slide looks okay in your iPad.
Okay. Oh, yeah, no worries. So as of last week, we were at 16 carriers. We are now down to 15 because of Spirit. Spirit, just in case people are wondering, they had pared back their routes significantly since their, first bankruptcy, whatever that happened about a year ago. So they were doing about 2 flights a day. At one point, there were about 3%, a little over 3% of our traffic. Everything that they had was that they stopped flying prior to last week was taken up by other airlines. What they just stopped flying, the Atlantic City flight, the next day Breeze announced that they're going to start flying that flight. So that traffic has been absorbed. People are knocking on the door. How do we get their gates? How do we get their slots? So it's there. It has an impact, but it's not a huge impact for us. Someplace like Fort Lauderdale, that was their hub. If you just saw, I guess it was earlier this week, JetBlue went in there with 28 new flights. So the market is there. The airlines are kind of chomping at the bit to get in, and they're covering it up. One of the other things, this number will change again. Sun Country and Allegiant, they just finalized their merger late yesterday, so that got approval, so they will go together. They have one overlap, which is Eau Claire, Wisconsin. The rest are all individual flights, so we'll hope to get some more flights out of that new conglomeration. So now on to the fun stuff, pictures. So this is the new Terminal E. So if we'll go on here. So that, basically all of this is brand new. This is our new, basically front of house, your check-in, baggage claim, concessions, these right there, and I'll get more pictures. But just to point out, where this mechanical room is there, that's the average length of our 3 other existing concourses. So this one, when you step in there for the first time, there's 7 there, 7 gates there there's 7 gates in our other 3 with the 14 and that big box at the end called a head house. It's a lot bigger. It looks like you're through a large hub airport. It's impressive. I'll start with phase 1 though. Phase 1 is our consolidated checkpoint. That's the program that takes our 3 checkpoints, B, C, and D, puts it into one. That is our first growth, the 215,000 square feet. That TSA admin space that's noted on there, that's our first net new space. They moved into there, just before, probably late February. So we have some new space up and going. At the end of the day, this is what the outside will look like. The old wall is, actually that's beyond the new wall. So this is new space here, and then this is almost 4 stories tall with the high beam structure. So the 3 checkpoints go to 1. Everything in that pink salmonish color is all net new. The nice thing about it is where you're a captured audience now, if you're going out of C, you're stuck on C. In the future, you can roam all the way over to E and all the way over to B. So everything will be very, very interconnected, which is going to be very nice and a huge difference for us at the airport. So from the footprint, it kicks out quite a bit. If people that remember the old atriums where the palm trees used to be, those are kind of those areas right in there. The palm trees are gone. We'll have new palm trees. But that's that space that was taken up. And it's basically a mirror on both sides. So this is what it looks like from the outside. Again, these pole cranes or tower cranes, you can see it right there. They're on a little bit of a track. So they can move this full length to get the full circumference of both areas, and also in case they need to lift anything together. So this is all new. That used to be the roof. This is all going to be brand new. That used to be a tug lane, so that used to be open. And here you see, it's actually a little bit outdated. That roof there, that's the low roof, has the metal on it, and they're starting to sling up the high beam. If you haven't been recently, the picture on the right shows our temporary checkpoint. Originally, before the delay, we had several phases. We combined the phases, rearranged things. So now essentially we have 2 phases. The first phase was getting this temporary checkpoint in to the C. That's kind of the look and feel, the new terrazzo floor, the new LED lighting. The work they're doing now, about a little over a year on the B side, will open. We'll close this, take down the temporary walls. You'll have 9 new lanes ready to go. They'll finish the 6 lanes here and then work towards D to get that completed. This is what it'll look like when it's done. So just for context, this used to be the old atrium area. D is down that way. That is the entrance to C. This is new because that's our new Delta Lounge. So that'll be all elevated. This used to be your, actually under this underhang used to be your concessions, Shula's, PGA, the candy store, Brighton. All of this terrazzo, I'm not ashamed to say it. I'm excited about terrazzo getting rid of tile. It's going to be a nice look, and it's going to really give that sense of place. You'll have the shells, you'll have the dolphins, you'll have, doesn't look like it, but it mimics the look of a wave, and it's carried through the whole project. This is what it looks like coming through. Those little half turns are your bag screening equipment. And again, looking out towards C, everybody will be able to wave at the folks at the Delta Lounge. Going down again, carrying that theme with different core. This is what it'll look like going towards B. Some things to note, you can see some plexiglass there. If people have traveled recently and gone through the automated exits where the doors just swing open and you walk through and they close right behind you, that's what we're going to have on all 3 of our checkpoint exits. One of the nice things, though, is it'll be pushed up. We'll be able to get a lot more space and again, a lot more flow. But it's going to really look, it'll have that sense of place, but it'll look like a brand new airport once it's done. So here's the big, I call it the box. Here's the big box that we're working on now. So again, this one will have its own new checkpoint. So we'll go from 3 checkpoints, consolidated checkpoint, to 2 checkpoints. So the new checkpoint will be the consolidated and at E. The 14 gates, new taxiways. So all of this, and I got some fun pictures, is all going to be brand new once it's done. These connectors, all this concrete. We're targeting late 27. And again, this will be 600,000 square feet to help us double the size of our airport. Picture on the left is the glass that is going up. This should be all glassed in probably mid-July. They're working anxiously to get the air conditioning system up and running because a big box with no air conditioning, I imagine, is rather hot. So they're working diligently on that. One of the nice architectural aspects is the upper windows. The new concourse, it's very long. It's going to be very well lit. And that's a really long corridor. And again, once you go there, just the length of it is impressive. It's going to look similar to how our airport looks today. The one difference that you'll note in this, so this would just be the normal ticket counters with your normal atrium, is this level up here. It's our mezzanine level that's being built into this. We're going to end up with 3 crosswalks. Some of the things that we're doing with moving the traffic, the normal pickup traffic to the outer lanes, ground transportation to the inner lanes, we want to get passengers off the road. If we can get passengers off the road, we can get people through quicker and it's safer. So this will have that vertical circulation, your elevators and escalators up to that mezzanine level. We'll take the walkway over the road to our expanded parking garage. This is what it'll look like. This is the very end, that head house, that big box. It's very nicely situated. If you look to the right, you'll see airplanes landing. If you look to the west, you will see the sunset, all while being able to have your favorite beverage or dinner. This is a new addition. They call it a marché now. I still call it a food court. But the checkpoint, basically where that sign is, just below it, is the TSA checkpoint. If you were to make a right turn, you'd be in D, but you make that left turn, you'll come down into the first area of our concessions. It'll have, I think, about 7 or 8 concepts there. And then sporadically we'll have some more retail and then sit down in bars as you go down the concourse. From a concession standpoint, one of the things that we've been trying to do is update things while we've been in this little bit of a lull, or I guess that's a better way than saying delay. Brewing on D has been open probably a little over a year. Really good food. They sell a heck of a lot of beer out of there. Hudson is a refresh on B as well. Shula Burgers used to be Burger King. That's been a nice addition there. We've been putting in Starbucks all over the place. So Starbucks on B, that one is also new. So we're almost actually done with B. And one of the nice things that people probably don't realize, typically your Starbucks in an airport doesn't have the same options that your street Starbucks would. But because we've been able to flip them, we've been able to bring in all the new machines, each cup of coffee that's ground individually instead of just kind of back. So the offerings are much better. I like Seaside Mercantile. The one on the right is neat because it was the first concept in an airport with an arched roof. Usually everything is flat. So again, we're really trying to go that sense of place with the beach theme. Our Legos. That Lego store is probably the size of most people's closet, and they do a couple $1,000s a day in Legos, and it's all the way at the end of D. We can't wait to move it to the middle of our new consolidated checkpoint. Right when you walk out, it'll be bigger so everybody can see Legos. Neat thing about the Legos at the airports is they sell airport-specific stuff, so people that collect Legos will buy a ticket to just go to the Lego store. And then lastly on this one is Relay. Relay is a European concession, so the folks going out on Discover, if they're flying through Germany or other parts in Europe, they're familiar with it. It still sells the same stuff as the one above, but it's a familiar brand. Key Lime Bistro just opened in D. That's been good. We ran into somebody last week who didn't or wasn't able to hit Key Lime over in Captiva, so they bought a refundable ticket to be able to just go through the checkpoint to eat and then go back to their airplane on sea. But I think that's indicative of the why are we consolidating the checkpoint. People who want to do this will have those options. And then again, another Starbucks over on D. What's coming up in our consolidated, the space behind the consolidated checkpoint in our new growth area, we'll have some local and national brands. The Boathouse actually just broke ground. It'll be over by Terminal B. The nice thing there is we'll be able to open that ahead of schedule, so give people pre-security some options to have a sit-down meal. We will have to close it once we start that portion of the construction for a couple months, but the thought was, hey, let's get up and running, let's get that name recognition, let's get people in there and excited to be able to come back. Just real quick on some other future stuff. We're expanding our parking garage. Where are we? And one of the things that we're doing with this, we have a lot of car rentals, so we are losing this portion of our long-term lot, but we're going up 2 levels on our parking garage. We're also doing a couple other things to alleviate the choke point up at the top from a traffic standpoint. So right now, if you're going anywhere, long-term, short-term, rental car, you come all the way up and all the way back down. Off of the inbound road, we're going to change that. There's going to be 1 lane, 1 sign, go to long-term parking. If you drop on your rental car, instead of coming up and around, just past that, same thing, drop your car off here, 1 sign, 1 turn. And the only reason you need to come all the way up is if you're dropping somebody off, picking somebody up, or going to a rental car, but you'll be parsed out like you are today. So that'll be a good improvement. While we're building this, we're going to build this space down here. That is the, basically it's where they change oil. The car rental companies change oil. They bring cars in and out. They store things. It's on the north side of the airport. It's been there probably 30 years. It'll allow us to recover that space for future use, get the people off the road that go zipping around to the north side, and give them a lot better connectivity. And, basically I forgot one thing. It's not on this picture. We're putting a new public safety building right there. So our public safety building, our emergency operations center, our police station should be not breaking ground, but completed here in October. So we're trying to match the economy. We're trying to bring those people in. I think, just quickly looking through the numbers that were provided in the packet, our numbers, I think directly correlate to the rooms and the tax and everything going on. But again, our process is very slow, 5-year process to get anything done. So we're being proactive for 5 years from now. All the stuff that will be finished in 2 years started a long time ago. So we're excited about it. And I think the community, it's hard to see what's going on, but once it's done, people go in there and go, wow, it's the same place, still has the same feel, but it's completely brand new. Just because of how much of the footprint we're touching, which will then lead to when are you going to fix the old stuff? But we'll get to there eventually. So that's what I have. Questions?
Mr. Martulis.
Steve, thanks for the presentation. Fantastic. So phase 1 lake,
No, phase 1, it's a 2-part. So phase 1 has 2 phases. So the first part will be in about a little over a year, and that'll give us C, the club, and the 9 lanes of the checkpoint. A little bit over a year. It'll be almost identical to when, I guess it'd be more like 18 months. I say a year, but 27 has,
It's kind of with phase 2.
Yeah, it's almost identical now to phase 2, the first half. But then they'll have to go on and do the over by D. It gets kind of tricky because there's ramps. The reason there's ramps is the building is higher in the terminal for all the bag equipment that's underneath it, all the conveyances. So the ramps that are going down into like C is going to get changed. Where the TSA equipment is now, there'll be little quiet rooms, so little nooks, rather big nooks that you'll be able to peel off and, get some quiet area, a little bit different seating. So we'll have to go do all that process. But we'll open those 9 lanes and then pretty much lock and step. So late 27, I guess would be. And then we'll come back and then it'll be about another 6 or 7 months to get the full 16 lanes open.
And then, I'd say like phase 3 is the parking.
Oh, I didn't touch on everything. So, no, so we have the consolidated checkpoint. We have, I guess in sequence, our EOC and police station will be opening up. It's called the Public Safety Building. We'll have the consolidated checkpoint first portion open up pretty much in line with the 14 gates and the checkpoint in E. The second part of phase 1 to complete that project will be done. During that time, we're kicking off our parking garage expansion. To do the parking garage, we need to build that. We need to build that parking lot. We'll build that parking lot, and then we'll start that work. Once that's done, we're also currently right now expanding our employee parking lot. We're adding about 600 spaces there. It's just north of or I guess not north, east of the 7-Eleven. Just to get basically a 2-year window to give us time to rebuild a bigger parking lot for our employees. We have the runway rehab coming up in 2 years. So once this is done, we'll have runway rehab, the flat work for this. We're building another long-term parking lot. We're moving our cell lot, or we're going to revamp our cell lot, move ground transportation to the inbound. So I mean, we got a lot of stuff going on.
A few more phases.
Yeah, no, but it's good though, and that's the thing is when we say that 5 years, that I could talk ad nauseum and a lot more in depth on these things, but that 5-year process for the flat work, it's not a 5-year process, but we got to do the permitting, we got to do everything. So we're working, we're planning the parking garage, we're planning the walkways. We'll have 1, but we got to program in the other 2 to get the 3. So there'll be a lot of stuff going on, but.
And right now you got Delta's 1 lounge. Is there a second lounge? I've heard, but no?
So there is a second lounge, and we hope to have an announcement here in the upcoming months.
Oh, I heard it was United, but no.
Great.
Congratulations on a great report. I have 3 questions. How do you project maintenance for the next 10 or 20 years? There's a lot of air conditioner space, and most of the bills go to FP&L. How do you predict those maintenance fees?
We have our Internet of Things. We have a very robust maintenance management system. We do our preventive maintenance, our scheduled maintenance. We track all of our assets. We have a GIS team. So every single asset we have, let's say on the airfield, every light fixture, every line, it's, tens of thousands of things that we put a spot to. Look at this room, how many lights are in here? Is it 1 light? Is it multiple lights? How many outlets are in here? So we have to track all that stuff. So one of the things we're doing with our new project is we get a drop of information and we have to program our system, and then we have to program that out. So like we have our existing facility, we are, I don't want to say lucky, but from a timing standpoint, a lot of our HVAC, a lot of our systems are timing out, so we're able to upgrade those with similar that's going in the new, if not exact, same company, so the training is redundant. The parts are redundant because we don't want to have 2 complete items. Our fire suppression or fire alarm system, we have to run 2 because we got to get the other one online before we can take the first one offline. Our bag system will be interconnected. Our current bag system is 25 years old. The new one is going to be new. It's vastly different technology, but you can't take one off until you get the other. One's on Ethernet. One is just kind of plugged into the wall. Vastly different. and it's high capital. So we have to be very diligent with how we spend our money because we don't have unlimited funds. Again, it's that user fee. So I'll keep plugging it. Buy a lot of coffee, have a drink, it doesn't matter what it is, because that helps fund us. So there's a huge team. Our maintenance is our biggest subset of people. Of that 450, again, across 2 airports, that's probably about 165 of our employees.
Second question, any plans for direct, we're now one of the largest airports in the country. Will we be expanding direct flights?
To where?
To direct, and that's, we talked about this a few weeks ago. The airline, you told me the airlines will decide when they want.
They do. One of the problems that we have, and it's kind of a circular problem, is we don't have direct flights, and people want a direct flight. So somebody will say, I can get a direct flight out of Fort Lauderdale, Miami, or Tampa, so I'll drive there. And then they take that flight. Well, the airlines can track you. They know where you're going. But the other thing that people don't think about is, I'm going to drive 2 hours to one of those 3 airports, and I want to get there 2 hours early. But what happens if something's going on with traffic? So I'll add another hour. So you've given yourself a 3-hour buffer to get somewhere 2 hours early to take a direct flight. Parking, gas, what's your time worth? Conversely, you can come here. Most of us can be at the airport within a half hour. I would put our airport up against any airport that we are one of the most efficient from curb to gate. You're through quick. While you're still driving to Fort Lauderdale or Miami or Tampa, you're on an airplane and getting off an airplane in Charlotte, Chicago, Atlanta, and you're on to your next route. So when you math it, and which a lot of people don't do, it sometimes makes more sense. Not always, but the end state, though, is the more people that fly out of this airport to those destinations. You look at, I think our number 5 is Amsterdam. People leaving Fort Myers to go to Amsterdam. There's options to go someplace else. But once they get enough of those people locally to make it make sense, that's where you get your direct route. Unless you're someone like Breeze, Spirit goes out and says, oh, they just dropped Atlantic City, we'll do that, because they know the market's here. So it has to be really customer driven. The other thing that they factor in is you're willing to drive. Pam is not. Pam's going to fly from here. She might be willing to spend an extra $100, whereas you don't want to spend that and you think you're saving money and gas and parking and all that, but they factor that all in. They have all your credit card information. They know where you live when you bought your ticket, and they factor that. So again, it's how do we get our hometown folks to use the hometown airport so we can help drive, all of this. And I think it goes to the other side of kind of this whole resource that we have. We'll have 12 million people come through this airport, or not 12, I keep saying 12, I want it to be 12. 11.2 million people coming through this airport. How many people are in this county? 850,000, give or take. Tri-county, maybe a couple million. The majority of those people are paying for our great asset. And it's a huge asset to all of the people that live in the community. I don't want to say essentially free, but built off the backs of others. So our car rental, our parking lot, because we have to give long-term lots away, we're recovering that cost-free to us, because it's people who rent cars are paying that user fee that allows us to build 2 extra parking garages. The people who normally use the parking garages are people that are here, and they have that benefit. So if we can get people ingrained in the mindset of, I might save $200, but I can go out of Tampa. Your time is worth money. Your gas, especially now, go spend $5 a gallon. That $200 was just 2 tanks of gas. So it's really we got to work on that mindset.
My last question is, with all this expansion going on, what is the environmental impact? What are we doing to defend the natural areas around the airport?
So we have all kinds of different things, but like that mitigation park, that 7,000 acres that we bought, that is directly related to offset the impacts of a project like this. So the runway, all of the dirt that we're picking up. The problem that we face is we actually have a lot of wetlands on our property. So we might have 1,000 acres, but maybe 550, 600 is actually buildable because we're going to maintain it as that natural preserve. So we spent a lot of money in Mitigation Park to get the non-native species out for plants and things of that nature. There's wildlife all over there. Every morning, if you want to see a herd of 20 deer right about sunrise, drive in the airport and look off to the right. It's a thoroughfare of animals, which is really cool because there's not many places that still maintain that. So again, that sense of place. I had somebody in Denver saying, "Hey, what's the deal with all the deer you have out there?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's kind of cool. You can take the wild hogs, but they do a lot of damage." So again, that stewardship for the community is important to us as well.
Thank you very much, Steve, for the incisive report.
Rob?
Yeah, thank you. It's a great report. Has there been any discussion on a long-term parking option that allows a user to somehow walk through to the airport without using the buses?
Parking garage.
That's a short-term.
Well, I call it short term, but if you want to pay the $28 a day and park for a month, thank you.
That's so you think that if you offered that in one of the sections of the lot close to the parking garage, you would actually lose those fees because there's a number of people doing that with the short term?
So the typically, if you raise a fee, people don't want to pay it and they'll go to the other option. We don't necessarily see that with our demographics here. And you'll probably, what is the new rates? Probably, let's say $10 just for a round number. You'll save $10 if you park in the long-term lot. Well, what a lot of people don't realize is if you park in the long-term lot, that bus is going to come up to your door. That person driving that van is going to put your bag in the van, help you up, drop you off right at your ticket counter. Took you a couple minutes, but you didn't have to drag anything anywhere. When you're done, you stand in line, you get on the bus, they drop you off at the car. Long term, we're trying to figure out if that's sustainable. But with our employee parking lot, we're expanding it for two reasons. One is we need the parking right now for employee growth, but we also know that we need a bigger lot once everything is done. But then we have 1,000 parking spots. What do we do with that? How do we make it a premium option? Is it covered? We can put solar on it. Can we somehow make it a valet service? The roundabout's a little bit difficult, but do you want to drop your car off? We'll put gas in it. We'll detail it. We'll pull it right up. What time are you showing up? There's a lot of options we can do to get more of that premium service, but I had a meeting with the airlines earlier this week. We want to do a lot of things, but we can't do it for 2 more years. I mean, there's so much stuff going on. But that's one of the things that we're constantly looking at. So you raise the rates, our rates are in line, but the person who takes their Bentley to the airport doesn't really care about $28 a day. My airport car is a Honda. It's just different. So will the demand outstrip? Yes, but in the future, there's ways to help mitigate that by offering different segments.
Thank you.
Any other questions around the table? Tam?
Steve, what percentage of those 11 we'll round up to 2 passengers would you estimate are visitors to the area?
Visitors? Oh, I'd say probably, what would you think, 80+%, probably
So-
closer to 90.
My point is, but for tourism,
Yeah.
you wouldn't have those 76,000
Yeah.
flights. So
And
the more tourists, more options we have as a community. The activity that these businesses around this table, the industry that we support, is driving airport growth and airport activity.
yeah, and the one thing that's not on this one is kind of the summertime traffic. So typically, after what month are we? May, it starts dropping down. We're not seeing that like we used to. It used to
Correct.
drop to 400,000. Now we're 7, 8, 900,000, which means the people that are here, that live here, their kids are off of school, it's hot, they want to go up to Michigan or wherever they're going, do some fishing, they're doing it. And it's an interesting paradigm shift.
And we're seeing our out-of-state visitation in the summer grow too.
Exactly.
So that's helping with those numbers as well. You know, the goal of this organization from its beginning was to take seasonality out. We're never going to be able to take out the snowbird portion of seasonality. Those are people who come here for 3 months, right? They're not visitors in the traditional sense the way we talk. But that aspect will never change. Those first 3 months of the year are always going to be enormous here. But the rest of the year, our visitor numbers are very consistent from quarter to quarter. I know most people don't believe that, but when I show you that, it's been a little weird since, Ian and the pandemic, but historically, those numbers aren't that different from Q1 to Q2 to Q3 to Q4 in terms of visitor information. So it's interesting.
So on that thought, so the new 14 gates is what, 10,000 more roughly a day?
Well, if you do, okay, I'm going to do fuzzy Hennigan math. 14 gates times 4 turns a gate times 150, so you're easily at 20,000 more people. So
A day.
So again, fuzzy
that out
math,
loud.
if we're at 27 and you're adding 14, are you doubling or is that a third more? I don't know. So yeah, you could conceivably have 20,000 plus more people every single day. Again, I just had our airline meeting Monday and Tuesday of this week, and I said, I know you're growing because if you're Delta's building a club and a player to be named later
Way to go, Bill.
is potentially coming. I mean, think about that. We're going to go from no clubs to 2 clubs at the same time with the added growth, and looking at them saying, "What are your plans to grow?" They all just kind of snicker. So we have a 10-year agreement with the airlines that they guarantee, our basically our money. And if we hit below a certain line, they pony up. They're doing that because they're going to be growing. And they're not going to tell anybody what their plans are because, they'll barely give you a plan 6 months out, let alone 2 years. But they know something's coming. So when you're looking at, what did we do? In March, our busiest day outbound was 31,000 people. This week, we're doing about 17,000. Slow is about 13 through the checkpoint. That's the same amount of people coming in. You add those other gates, our 30 goes to 60 without a lot of hard work. And that's just with bare minimum turns on the gate.
In the 14 gates, I mean, the leasing of those gates, I assume is going well. I'm not going to ask you who's...
No, it's public information. So the strategy was we're going to take one airline off of each concourse. So Frontier comes off of B, United comes off of C, American comes off of D. So that gives more room on all of those. So you'll have Southwest and International on B. You'll have Delta, WestJet off of C. You'll have JetBlue, Breeze, and I'm missing somebody on D. And then E will be United, American, and Frontier, and we keep hitting that. Whoever else will fit. But again, when you're having the meeting, people are spending money, their own capital to grow. They're excited about it. They're backing it with their funds. Something's going to pop, but they're not telling us yet because it's all competitive and makes sense. But again, that's what I said. That 2 years is killing me because everything is predicated on 2 years from now. So in 2 years, we're getting something, but I don't know what it is, but it's going to be fun.
Tony?
Yeah, we talk about the number of people coming in. Do you have a percentage of how many go to Collier County?
I don't.
I'm just curious.
I know,
because
I'm sure it
obviously
exists, but
it must be a pretty sizable number, I would think, maybe 10% or.
I don't know. I'd be making
Okay.
numbers
I
up.
just thought I'd ask that. And the other question is, how many times have you been mistaken for Dana Souza? Am I right or not?
Who's that?
Who's that? Well, you could be twins. He's the manager for Sanibel, city manager for Sanibel. I'd be dead ringer. That's all. I'm done.
Any other questions for Steve? John?
First of all, it's a great compliment to Dana. First,
Right, see?
I'll let him know you did that.
You see what I'm saying?
Secondly, Steve, thank you so much for an awesome presentation. And I know when every time Tam announces airport numbers, she prefaces it with, "We are an incredibly fortunate region and community to have an RSW in our backyard." And And so, that has certainly resonated throughout our community, thanks to you, Tam, and thanks to the work you're doing, Steve. With this many more gates and flights coming in, is a second runway in the mid-future? Is it near future? What are your thoughts on that?
So who remembers propeller airplanes and small regional jets that nobody fit in? When's the last time you saw one of those at our airport? Been a long time. So the problem that we face is airplanes have gotten bigger and those small airplanes have gone away. So our operations at takeoff or a landing have gone down while we've almost doubled our amount of passengers. Good things though is this helps. Our second FBO, driving more general aviation aircraft to the north side, helps. Right now, we're about 2040 just from a forecasting number, which means in 3 years, 4 years, when it's 2030, we start our planning process. Charlotte just did a runway at $1 billion, so it's a lot of money that we go to Uncle Sam and say, can you please help? So that's what we're looking at right now. But if those numbers start ramping up and our projections change, if more people utilize the local airport that live here, those numbers can change, and they can change quick. But again, that 2-year mark, everything's hedged in what happens in 2 years. Until the airlines tell us, how many flights we're getting in, it could speed up, but we're at least right now at 2040. Scary thing about that is that's not that far away.
Great. Any other questions? Steve, great presentation. I've loved
Thank you
seeing
for having me.
the local brand. Keely on volunteerism.
Good morning. I'm Keely Fow, representing the Sanibel Captiva Conservation Foundation, and I'm here to walk through the SCCF Voluntourism campaign and how the Attractions Marketing Fund has helped us increase not only participation, but impact of our restoration projects that we have been trying to scale up. So, real quick, what is voluntourism? Exactly what it sounds like. It is a combination of tourism and volunteering. It is visitors that are coming to our area that want to give back in a meaningful way. SCCF really started to acknowledge this after Hurricane Ian. We had a lot of groups and visitors reaching out how they can help us. Either that was with beach cleanups or on our preserves. So we saw an opportunity, and basically the opportunity was to make these visitors volunteers. So it was a way to get them to have these hands-on, immersive experiences with SCCF that we were already doing with volunteers that are local or business partners, schools, but adding another component to try to engage people that are visiting our areas and have them have these really special memories they can only have here. So we knew the opportunity and what we needed to do, and so we established some goals of trying to connect visitors to our immersive experiences. So we wanted to increase awareness of our programs. We wanted to attract visitors and not only increase participation by visitors, but also help continue increasing the participation of our local residents here in Lee County and Southwest Florida. And then by that, expanding the impact of our restoration efforts that, as you can imagine, our coastal communities are still working to come back from Hurricane Ian, and then again with Helene and Milton that we had 2 years ago. And not only our communities are struggling, our businesses are struggling, but the ecosystems are struggling too. So the only way we were able to do this is to do it in a strategic way and that is where the attractions marketing funds came in. We were able to use those funds to have a digital marketing campaign through videos on social media. We were able to improve our website and have a landing page for volunteerism so they can be directed to all the programs we offer and an easy way for them to sign up for them. And then also we were able to create specialized videos so they have a visual of what that would actually look like for them. And we partnered with our hotels and business partners for them to take those videos and to have them displayed either in their lobbies or in the rooms for their guests to see. One of the videos I want to show you guys is one that was actually funded by the most recent grant cycle that highlights not only the SCCF Volunteerism program, but also the Sanibel Sea School, which is the two ways that visitors can engage with SCCF. So let's see if it works and enjoy.
You're not just here for the views, you're here for the experience. The salty breeze, the seashells, the sunsets. But what if your trip could do even more? With the Sanibel Captiva Conservation Foundation, you can make a difference while you make memories. Join a beach cleanup, help restore oyster reefs, enhance wildlife habitats on our preserves. We call it voluntourism, and it's changing your vacation experience. Bringing the kids? Let them dive into a day of adventure at Sanibel Sea School. They'll explore the ocean, hold sea creatures, even learn to snorkel, while falling in love with the world around them. This isn't just a vacation. It's a chance to give back to the place you came to enjoy. Don't just visit, come explore.
So that video briefly highlighted some of the volunteerism programs we offer for visitors. And there's mainly just 4 general areas that you guys can have visitors get involved with. One is our mangrove habitat restoration. And I like to plug all of our amazing stats here. So just in the past 2 months, we have planted a little over 2,000 mangroves in our restoration sites, with another 1,000 going in the next 2 days. So there's a lot happening. Another way, and I know most of you were probably at the VCB annual meeting last year, where you had the opportunity to be part of the restoration process in adopting mangroves, which has been well received by our local community, but also our hotels have stepped up and had them in their rooms, so the visitors get a chance to participate in that as well, water it, care for it, sing to them, whatever they want to do. And then moving on to our oyster reef restoration, with state funding, we were able to really launch this the past year with volunteers. Solely volunteers, we have moved 99,000 pounds of shell that is the foundation of these new reefs that were degraded over the past few years. So, or should I say decades even. Our beach cleanups are ongoing. People can always participate in our beach cleanups either through engaging with us or we have beach cleanup stations at a few beach access points on Sanibel, so people can grab a bucket and go clean on their own. We also organize the International Beach Cleanup every year that has over 400 participants just on Sanibel and Captiva alone. And then our habitat restoration program, as you can imagine, not only did our shorelines get impacted by the hurricanes, but so did our inland preserves. SCCF owns and manages 2,100 acres of land on Sanibel and the surrounding areas. And so there's been a lot of effort in the past 2 years to restore these areas, these marsh areas, clean them up, and get them to where they can thrive again. So those are the areas that people can get involved with. They are mostly welcome to all ages, so even families can have these immersive experiences while they're down here. But the Voluntourism program officially launched last year in February when I presented at the Sandcap Chamber of Commerce luncheon, where we debuted this next short video, guys, that was then played in the chamber lobby and was blasted all over social media. So, quick film or video. So that video, like I said, launched last year. It had a reach of 334,000 people who saw it, and then that was 607,000 views, which led to 8.6 thousand clicks to get to our new landing page for Voluntourism, so people that obviously wanted to learn more and get more engaged. Another way that we wanted to attract visitors, not only when they're planning their trips, but also once they're here, is we created rack cards for our resorts and business partners to display in the lobbies and in the rooms. So while they're here, they can learn a little bit more about something they could do while they're staying on the islands. This is our Voluntourism landing page that gives clear descriptions of what each of those projects that I went over entail. A little bit about the history of SECF's, the history of the projects with SECF, and then an easy way for them to sign up. And it has been well received so far. I will say, out of this past year, 10% of our volunteers have been visitors with our volunteer software, our tracking software and sign-up software. We ask every single participant if they are a Lee County resident, and 10% have said no. So that's exciting, and we're looking to grow even more as the years go on. All of our projects, as you can imagine, many hands make for light work, and we can also do so much more if we have more people involved. You guys can also come out too. Don't feel like this is just for visitors. So if you want to bring out your employees or come out yourself to see what it's all about, strongly encourage that. Which gets me to, obviously there's so many ways that there's ongoing collaboration efforts that can be had here in Lee County in our Southwest Florida community. We would love for anyone who wants to partner with us to help just promote what we're trying to do, engage your audiences, and hopefully it even attracts new people to this area, that this is something that they want to incorporate to all of their trips going forward. And, obviously we now can offer that here in Southwest Florida for them. So the more we all collaborate together, the bigger impact we can have. And so I want to thank the TDC for letting us change visitors into volunteers and then volunteers into more impact. So thank you. That's all I got. I don't know. Are there questions?
Do we have any questions?
Great. Thank you.
And, the beauty of a program like this is, just think about the kids getting involved in doing this. This is, you know, a young man comes and he plants mangroves or he helps restore something, guaranteed he's going to ask his wife to marry him on that beach, right? I mean, you know, that's how I look at these things. So, you know, it's a safe bet. You know, he's going to have a lifetime engagement with our community. And I think, you know, those things matter, those multi-generational things. This is how we keep our repeat tourism. Not only do they fall in love with our place, but they have a connection with it. So the value of this is much stronger than just they helped us with the restoration effort. It's a long-term commitment, I think. So thank you for
Thank you.
that effort.
Tam, back to you for the.
Yes, sir. We will get through those numbers. March data is good data, so I have good news. That tax collection came in almost 9.6 million. It's a 19% increase over last year, and you know, striving to get back to that $10 million number. Fingers crossed, we'll see that next year. And you can see how that looks over time. With preliminary collections coming in there, so numbers are really strong and looking good for March. STAR report, positive in terms of occupancy, ADR, and RevPAR. And, you know, when you look at the full report where you can see some of those competitive markets, we performed very, very well against the competitive markets as well. But it's nice to see positive numbers for sure. Next slide. And you can see how that looks over time. Got to get back in the 80s for sure, but we're creeping our way back there. And same direction on the vacation rentals. Our research provided by Key Data, occupancy, ADR, and RevPAR up there as well. Hotels under construction, wanted to give you a brief update on that. We have a few additions to that list, and we will provide that list as new information comes available to you, but you can see where things where things are under construction and what that timeline is. Again, a couple coming online. Tony has an event coming up I'm sure he's going to share this weekend to celebrate Beachview, and then later this year we'll have Captiva Island Inn opening on Captiva, but we will continue to track these as you requested. Airport numbers, March increase for the airport of 3.9%, and year-to-date continued growth. And with that, I'm going to ask James to come up and give you the first quarter research report so you can see how the numbers look overall for Q1. Thank you, James.
Awesome. Thanks, Tam. So I'm going to try to keep it somewhat brief today, but I do want to start out with a few thank yous. So first of all, I wanted to thank everybody for doing such a great job and doing their part in terms of supporting tourism, because as you'll see shortly, as Tam just kind of touched on, a lot of the numbers are up double digits year over year. And as you might expect, it makes my job coming up here and reporting these numbers a lot easier when everything is massively up. And then also, I just wanted to give a quick acknowledgement. I hope everyone had a great Mother's Day this past weekend. Shout out to all the mothers out there, and for those that aren't mothers, I hope you had some chance to spend some time with your mothers. I personally am lucky enough. My mother lives just 45 minutes away from me, so I got to spend my Mother's Day introducing her to the Sanibel board game. So that was a fun time. And then, I also wanted to thank the previous presenters for all the great information. It's always nice seeing all the great information that we get at these meetings. And then I'd love to have conversations with Steve about RSW data, because I know that we both have so much awesome data going on, and I'd love to integrate those together more. But with that, thanks again for the time. I'll walk us through a quick Q1 2026 visitor tracking occupancy economic impact review. If you have any questions at any time, just feel free to jump in and ask away. So, starting off with our key performance indicators, you'll see that the headline for Q1 is just over 1 million visitors this quarter. That is up about 28% year over year. Room nights, just over 1.7 million. That's up about 16% year over year. Direct spend by visitors, just under 1.4 billion. Up about 24% year over year, and a total economic impact of just under 1.9 billion, up about 24% as well year over year. So as it's a pretty easy job to come up here and report those, because obviously you don't see these sorts of massive spikes on a regular basis with a lot of our clients, but it's just a testament to all the hard work that's going on in Lee County. So now lodging metrics. I know Tam just touched on some March metrics and some calendar year to date. This is for January through March. We'll look at the total up there at the top. So this is hotels, vacation rentals, campgrounds, all combined. We're looking at a quarterly occupancy rate of about 77%, up about 5% year over year. Average daily rate was about $245 a night, up about 4% year over year, and RevPAR was just under $190 per available room, up about 9% year over year. And then within that, you'll see that it was actually pretty even in terms of hotels versus vacation rentals. Both were showing strong growth in terms of occupancy and ADR. And I will note footnote number 1 down there at the bottom. It's pretty incredible that we saw occupancy growth in both sectors as we saw total supply up 10% year over year. Occupancy growth of 5% overall in a quarter where supply is up 10% is very, very hard to do, and is a great indicator for demand and continued demand growth. Here we'll see some year-over-year trends for the last 3 years for visitation on the left and then room nights on the right. You can see that it's pretty apparent from the graphs that we've kind of turned a corner and started to see some massive year-over-year increases just from last year to this year. And then if we look at the next one, here's our spending figures. A little bit less dramatic, but still massive year-over-year increases. That is just due to spending per visitor did see a slight decrease, but that's mostly driven by a shorter length of stay. So we have more visitors spending slightly less, but still massive increases in spending and economic impact. For visitor origins, you'll see that as usual, we have Midwest leading the way at 42%, followed by the Northeast, the Southeast, in-state, and then out West. Within that, we see that our top origin markets are Minneapolis and Boston, as we might expect during January through March for all the baseball lovers, followed by Chicago and New York, who are pretty much perennially in the top 3 or top 5, and then other usual suspects like Detroit, Philadelphia, Cleveland, Indy, Denver, etc. For international origins, Canada and Germany still leading the way. Those shares are down year over year. However, with massive increases in visitation, it's actually up slightly year over year in terms of an absolute visitor count, which, as we all know, with everything going on right now, there's lots of other areas that are down year over year significantly in some areas for international visitation. So you guys are definitely being helped out by the fact that there was a lot of international visitors that hadn't been back since Ian and that sort of thing, and so you're getting a bit of a boost there, which is nice to see. Visitor profile, nothing too massive in terms of changes year over year here. The median age for your visitor was still in the mid-50s to 56. The first-time visitor share was still just under a quarter at 22%. Median household income of your visitors was about $117,000 a year. Just under a quarter were traveling with children. Average travel party size was 2.8 people, and then length of stay was 7.3 nights. Okay, so now for a few key insights. First up is influence of promotions. I think we also had some of these insights that I'm going to show, similar things last quarter, which even though that's a similar thing, I like to point it out because it's a trend. If we're seeing the same metrics up significantly year over year for multiple quarters in a row, it points to a nice, trend in the data. And so for this one, 54% of the visitors who recalled promotions for the Fort Myers area said that it influenced their travel plans. attendance. That was up from 46% during the same quarter last year. And then the obvious insight there is that promotional effectiveness seems to be rising, suggesting that marketing efforts are connecting more strongly with visitors and converting awareness into genuine intent to visit. As for the sources of these advertising and promotions that they're recalling, you see over there on the right that it's mostly social media and internet. So those, general web search, that sort of thing, followed by other things like travel reviews and blogs, TV, the destination website, visitor guide, email, video streaming services, etc. Return of repeat and loyal visitors. This is another one that I believe we had last year or last quarter. So 78% of visitors were repeat visitors. It was also 78% last year. However, we did just still want to point this out because this is one of the higher shares that we see compared to all the destinations we work with. Repeat visitation remains steadily high, reinforcing the strong loyalty appeal of the area. And this is also reinforced by the fact that only 25% of visitors staying said that they considered other destinations while planning their trip, which means that very few Fort Myers visitors are comparison shoppers, and most are pretty committed to. Go ahead.
When you compare that 22% first time, and notice that it's the same, there's also 78 in 25. How does that compare to years past? Is there a general incline, decline, or is that pretty much what it is every year?
So since Ian, I'll have to double check and verify, but I'm pretty sure that since Ian, it's been slightly lower in terms of the share of first-time visitors, as you might expect, just with people, especially due to hurricane sentiment and that sort of thing, people not sure what's open, what's not. It's been the loyal visitors that are more familiar with the area that have been kind of a slightly larger share, but it hasn't been a dramatic decrease. Something in the neighborhood of I want to say it maybe used to hover in the neighborhood of 25 to 30% of visitors would be first time, and now it's closer to 20 to 25% on a quarter-by-quarter basis. And then obviously, as you might expect, with January through March being snowbird season, a lot of snowbirds are loyal repeat visitors that have been coming for years, and then we'll see this tick up during the summer season where more people might be branching out to try new areas.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. And then I guess just to piggyback on that real quick, I did see an email this morning from AAA in terms of the tourism news saying that AAA is forecasting 45 million visitors for Memorial Day weekend, which is going to be they're projecting a new record despite gas prices and everything else going on. They did point out that even though gas is significantly higher than last year, average airfare ticket prices is actually lower than last year. So that was interesting to see. Reasons for visiting. Again, you'll see that beaches, relaxing and unwinding, and VFRs were the main reasons for visiting that saw the largest increases year over year, while part-time resident and snowbirds saw the largest decreases. Quick thing to point out there, because you see a decrease in snowbird, might think that there were less snowbirds. A good thing to point out there again is we had a massive 28% increase in visitation year over year. So even though the visitor share that was snowbirds decreased slightly, it was still a large net increase year over year. And then as hurricane recovery continues, the insight is that the core traditional leisure visitor continues to represent a higher share of visitation. And then lastly, I also wanted to add on this slide, just over 1 in 8 visitors indicated that damaged buildings, anything related to the hurricane, negatively impacted their visit, and that was down from 1 in 5 visitors last year. So it's nice to see that that's trending in the right direction. Overall satisfaction was largely unchanged, all within margin of error, so very satisfied, up slightly. Likelihood of returning down 1%, which is completely within margin of error, so not significant there, and then very likely to recommend, also up 1%, basically flat year over year. And then finally, we have a quarter metrics just all in one, so you can see them all right next to each other. You can see all up double digit. And then here we have fiscal year figures. So this is October through March. And you can see visitation for the fiscal year to date up 16%, visitor days up 12%, room nights 14%, direct spend 22%, and total economic impact also about 22% at just under $3 billion in economic impact so far this fiscal year. And with that, I like to close out always with some selected visitor quotes, so that we always just like to go through the verbatims and pick out some that are representative of what the visitors were saying this quarter. So I'll just read a couple. The question, just for those wondering, is right at the end of the survey, we ask if you were to describe Fort Myers and what makes it unique to a friend or family member, how would you describe it? And these are some of the responses we got. I would tell my best buddy to get down here as soon as possible. Fort Myers is heaven on earth and a true blessing to be here. I used to live here with my mom when I was a little boy. Now I live in Tennessee. The beaches here are very beautiful. I love this place with all my heart. I would tell my friends that Fort Myers has a bunch of cute places to go to. All the bars, restaurants, shopping areas, beaches are amazing. It's worth the drive from Tampa, better than driving all the way to Fort Lauderdale or Miami too. So those are just a few types of things that we saw visitors saying in January through March. And then there's plenty more where that came from as well. And with that, if there's any questions, please feel free to ask away.
Any questions for James? Bill?
Not really a question, but, well, on the influence of promotions, number one, number two is social media and internet. I'd love to know if that was breaking out what is AI in that. I don't know if that could be added, because we're seeing so much more just finding us because AI is telling them.
Yeah.
So, ironic that you asked that, because James and I have been talking about a revision to the survey to add AI into the questions. Are you using AI in your trip planning? Coming soon, but
we've been working with Tam and Pam and the rest of the CVB team for the last month or two on a revision to the questionnaire that will be going into place in July of this year. We'll be implementing it, and there's various questions got slightly tweaked to make it a bit more relevant. When the original questionnaire was implemented years ago, AI was nowhere on our map, and now AI is obviously a big player in the space that we want to keep track of and track the trends. So those sorts of things have been added in, along with a few other changes that we've made.
and some consolidation.
And consolidation to make the survey a little bit shorter, a little bit more manageable, because I know that that's some feedback that we've gotten from partners over the years, is that they'd love to push the survey and love to get it out to more visitors, especially lodging partners and event partners and that sort of thing. But it's hard to make people take a 10 to 15 minute survey by themselves at home, whereas if you can get them to take a 5 to 10 minute survey, it increases your response and completion rate significantly.
We do ask a lot of questions, but it's good information for our decision making. So at the end of the day, it's that delicate balance. But we are consolidating.
Thank you. On the reason for visiting chart, I find it surprising that water sports and fishing is so low. And I know in all of our promotional videos, we tend to show people boating and kayaking, and with the amount of water sports and fishing that's here and the amount of boating population that we have, I'm wondering if there's any way to compare why we might be that low in that type of response compared to an area that might be higher, and why do they go someplace else for those activities instead of coming here based on the volume of them that we have?
Yeah, that's a great point, and that's definitely something I can look more into, but I will just point out quickly, so this question specifically is main reasons for visiting. So the way that the question works is we ask them, what were your main reasons for visiting, and they're only allowed to select 3 options. Whereas later in the survey, we ask them, what is all the things you did during your trip, and they have a whole list of all the same types of things with a few added extra, and they're allowed to select as many as they want. And you'll see that on the activities, water sports is much higher. It's just generally there's primary visitation drivers, and then there's more like supplemental drivers, and we would consider water sports to generally fall more in the supplemental category, where a lot of people come here to do it, but it might not be their top 1 or 2 or 3 reason. It might be 4, 5, 6, but it's still something that they do regularly when they're here.
And, as a reminder, this is a quarterly report, so it's a little cooler in the first quarter. Not everybody's using the water in Q1. Those are some things that factor into this. I think when you look at this over an annualized approach, you see some of those things balance out a little more. And I'm pointing that out, like, again, sporting events is not normally 17%, but guess what? Spring training is in Q1, so you're going to see sporting events as a very high number in it. And two, when you say beach, they may never even get to water sport, but they may have gone to the beach and done water sports, right? They're choosing that first option, as the primary driver.
Yep, exactly. Great point, Tam. And thanks for the question.
Thank you.
Tamara, this may come to you. What jumped out, the median age of our visitors prior to 4 hurricanes, is that higher or lower, or is that just something we don't know?
That is one of the most interesting statistics in our data. This place fits you between 45 and 60, and it almost always is mid-50s. Up and down a little bit, depending on which quarter we're talking about, but I think there's a point in your life where life is hectic, and you want that reprieve that this destination offers. And it has been, I used to joke, how can we have the exact same visitor? Because when I started, that person was a boomer. Now that person's a Gen Xer. And pretty quickly, that person's going to be a millennial. It fits you at a certain point in your life. And, a lot of destinations are, we want more young people. Or I think we have to be committed to being who and what we are and being good at it. So, interestingly, not that different.
But can I stay?
You may stay. Hey, we can all stay. But I do think, a lot of destinations are trying to reinvent themselves in a way to attract a different clientele, whereas I respect and appreciate our commitment to being damn good at what we do well.
Great, thank you. Any other questions? No? James, thank you very much.
Awesome. Thanks for your time, as always.
I do have one more thing. We have a new staff member that I'd like to introduce. Brooke Prout. Brooke? Oh, over here, sorry. Brooke has joined our team. Brooke is a Southwest Florida native, and she has a passion for event planning and community connection. During COVID, she launched her own small business, Bash Events, and spent the past 5 years helping her customers in Lake County and surrounding areas bring memorable events and special moments to life. And outside of work, she and her husband live in Babcock Ranch, and they are very involved with their 4 kids, including cheerleading, and also she is a member of the Kiwanis chapter out there. So we're really happy to have Brooke on our team. So welcome, Brooke, as our new operations coordinator.
Brooke, welcome. Anything else?
Now I'm finally done, sir.
So, moving over to Mr. Milkey, we'll talk about that 17% that came for sports.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, Council. Jeff Milkey with Lee County Sports. Quickly going to go over first quarter of 2026, and then we're going to talk just a little bit about some spring training numbers. So 15,000 room nights sold, filled through January sports events, about $8.1 million in direct visitor spending. Almost all of it, as typically this time of year, is baseball. I do want to point out that we did host the most number of events in January, which was 23 different amateur sports tourism events in January. Next slide, you can see pretty flat, business as usual for us in January. February, 12,000, almost 13,000 hotel room nights filled with amateur sports, $6.2 million in direct visitor spending. Again, baseball heavy. Roy Hobbs with their spring Sunshine Classic. Youth soccer, that's a good time of year to fill Kelly Road up with some soccer events. And then you've heard us talk already in the past about bringing Netherlands international baseball team here. They trained before the World Baseball Classic. If you watch the World Baseball Classic, you saw Italy knock off the United States in one of the games. Italy actually came and played against the Netherlands at Terry Park, which was pretty cool to see. So that had a nice impact on our destination. The bump in 2025 was from the Savannah Bananas being here. So that is, and I had said that that's probably a one-time thing, so you can see the impact the Savannah Bananas had, but then you can also see how good our February was without them here, so we're happy about that. March typically is not when we spend a lot of resources trying to bring in sports tourism, except for supporting spring training, just because of the tourism value that's already here. But we did fill 7,000 room nights through amateur sports. Most of that is through Parks and Recreation's Gene Cusick Classic, which is baseball and softball, spring break business, some hockey, and Cape Coral hosted Florida State BMX championships with their Cape Coral BMX Club, which is a great partner of ours. And then you can see the trend line. We are trying to decide if we should put more effort into March. We're having active conversations with Parks and Recreation about the Gene Cusick Classic. It used to be a 300-team event. It's down to 20 or 30 teams, and we're a hard destination for colleges to visit in March, just due to it's expensive. It's expensive to get here. It's expensive to stay here. So we're trying to figure out how much effort and resources should we be expending to try to add some March business, and we're continuing through that conversation. And certainly want to mention the spring training success of 2026. So numbers came out recently. I know Katie's in the room here from the Twins. Red Sox finished second in the Grapefruit League. Twins finished fourth. Our two teams combined 258,000 spectators, which is, I just want to put that in perspective, that with the Red Sox at 145, Twins at 112,000, many communities can't even get to 50,000 spectators. So to have two of the four teams in the entire state of Florida, only 4 teams got over 100,000 spectators, and we had 2 of the 4. So that's a testimony to how strong our destination is as a spring training location. And of all of the multi-team counties, Pinellas, Lee County, Sarasota, and Palm Beach County all have multiple teams in their destination. We were far and above the total attendance of any of the others. So just want to recognize that and say thank you to all of the partners in the room that helped with spring training, especially Parks and Recreation with their leadership in the room. Visitor and Convention Bureau works closely to maximize the value of spring training with marketing, and our Economic Development Office is very involved. I think the EDO used spring training suites for business development 7 or 8 times this year, so just can't understate enough, or overstate enough, I guess, how valuable spring training is to our destination and how unique we are with our 2 partnerships. So I just wanted to say congratulations, at least to the Twins, for being here. So, but Parks and Recreation and the Sports Development Office are in the middle of FHSAA State Baseball Championship, started yesterday. Unlike last year, where we had 3 local teams in it, Island Coast got knocked out, Canterbury got knocked out last week, so Port Charlotte is the closest local team, but we're always thrilled to have it. This is our 13th year hosting state championships, where we will crown all 7 of Florida's high school classifications. So that is my report, sir.
Thank you. Any questions for Jeff?
Great job. Really.
Kristen had a question.
A quick update, the City of Palms is being demoed starting June 1st. And we're doing a feasibility study by a group out of Card Associates. And we went to the chamber meeting the other day, and we had Lieutenant Kottkamp. He also reinforces the school systems are changing, and we need to take into account for that. But our feasibility study is looking at travel ball as a major source of income, and it's local, state, national, and international. And all the indications so far are so good. But at some point in time, we need med tax to help fund this operation, but we'll come back to that at the right time when we get the feasibility study done. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you. Any other questions for Jeff? Yep, thank you. Moving on to new business, Parks Recovery Project Funding, MAC.
Good morning, Council. I want to thank Jeff Milkey for that. We do have a great partnership with Jeff Group. Join at the hip, if you will. We always communicate all the time. We talk with his staff, and we always look forward to all the events that he brings in. We talked about the numbers for the Twins and the Red Sox. You know, that's a testament to Josh Brooks and his group and Keith Blassinger in their locations. They do a great job at the facility, and they keep it clean, they keep it safe for everybody. I know the teams are coming in, they want to see them play, but at the same time, the venue that we have is top notch. So we want to appreciate what those guys do too. We appreciate you. We want to bring up a list of our recovery items here that we have, and we're asking the council, if you will, give us a flexibility with these different projects that we have to be able to use funding when and if something's finished and money's left over to continue the process so we can continue to keep these items rolling. That's our request today, to ask you guys to do that.
And typically, when there's a project and say we're under budget or over budget, we have to come back to you every single time. As you can see how many projects we have on the board, we're trying to be proactive so we don't hold up any projects. So we're asking to be able, if we need to, if a project is short and we have extra in one project, can we move it to another project without having to come back to you every single time that this happens? Because we're in the process, we're starting to move and groove and get it going, and we don't want anything to stop us. So the funds are used for the same thing, the hurricane recovery. We would do, it would still throughout the year, you have to go before the Board of County Commissioners with a justification and adjustment to the budget. So it's going to be looked at, so it's not like we would use the funds for anything it's not supposed to be used for. We're just trying to stop projects. We're trying to not stop any projects from moving.
And as you guys know, the longer you wait, the price continues to rise. So we want to make sure that we keep these going and keep them and try to finish them all at a timely manner.
I have a quick question. Do these projects get approved that they are actually beach and shoreline? Are they reviewed by the county attorney
Yes.
to ensure that they are part of beach and shoreline?
Yes, you will see on Bonita Beach accesses dune walkovers only. That's because they've all gone through the process, and we've already indicated which is eligible for funding and which is not.
Okay, so they are reviewed.
Yes.
They're all funds that you had already awarded to us. It's just we want to keep projects moving.
Rob?
I'd make the motion that we allow them to cross-fund these as they need, based on what we have already previously funded.
And I have a second from Pam. Discussion. Bill?
Is there some stopgap to make sure that the way that the funds would be used in a project that would go over what was initially thought stays within the scope of what's approved and what isn't approved? Because I know that when certain projects are brought forward, there's certain pieces of it that beach and shoreline can be used for, and there's pieces of it that it can't be. Is there some way of identifying that the additional dollars that are being moved from one to another are still staying within the scope of things that are approved?
Yes, as Andrea had said earlier, everything is approved through the attorney to make sure that it is eligible for beach and shoreline before it's spent. And she indicated just a few moments ago it is. So everything does come through the attorney's office to make sure it is beach and shoreline eligible.
Absolutely. It'd be the same purpose and the same scope for all the programs.
Any other discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
April, now you're up. Now it's your turn.
Good morning, everybody. For the record, April Green, your fiscal manager. As usual, our budgets are running very well. First up, we have our VCB operating budget to actual, and quarter two landed at 31% of the budget. And the next slide should be the beach and shoreline operating business unit. We landed right at 44% of the budget for quarter two. And the next slide is sports development, and they are coming in right at 48% of the budget for quarter two. Nothing significant really to call out. I'm here to answer any questions that you may have about the budget.
Any questions for April?
I'll make the motion, we should approve.
Thank you, Tony, with the motion. Do I have a second? Rob with the second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you, April. And next we have Nancy for beach and shoreline.
Good morning, Council. Nancy McPhee. I am here to request that you consider formalizing beach and shoreline funding for fiscal year 27. The estimated budget is $12.9 million. We conducted the annual Beach and Shoreline Workshop on April 23rd, and I just want to show appreciation to all of the TDC members that were in the room that day. It's a lot of work to review all of these requests and then sit in here for 2 hours to discuss what to do with them. Commissioner Pendergrass, Vice Chair Jay Johnson, Vice Mayor Scott Safford, Pam Cronin, and Bill Wachulis attended, and what we're going to present to you today are their recommendations for funding for next year. During the workshop, 17 projects totaling $12.9, which was the budget, were recommended to receive funding from the Beach and Shoreline Program. 2 of the projects were deemed ineligible through the program guidelines. 8 were deemed eligible through another portion of the state statute, but they would have had to have been funded from reserves. So the committee on that day did not recommend funding them. And then we did have a discussion about how to handle those particular projects, the ones that are eligible through the other portion of the statute, and they requested that we schedule a workshop to discuss them with the full TDC. So we're going to have to defer to Commissioner Pendergrass's schedule and then get back to you. We don't have a date for that discussion, but we do think it needs to take place because there will be requests in the future that are eligible through that portion of the statute. I did want to mention that since the workshop, one of the requests became eligible because it opened. J.C. Park in Cape Coral, beautiful facility. You funded a restroom there and a shoreline walkway, and that was funded this fiscal year, and it's already complete. It's the fastest capital projects I've ever seen get done. So we would like you to consider funding $14,395 for maintaining the shoreline features at J.C. Park. So that would need to be a discussion before we move forward with the projects. A couple of the action items today would be to discuss reconsidering the $14,000 for J.C. We need to make legislative findings for 13 projects, and then you can approve the funding recommendation for 17. It'll either be 12.9, which is what it is right now, or the additional 14,000. So I wanted to defer to some of the members that were at the workshop.
So
had any comments?
in order to remain in budget, if we were to fund the J.C. Park shoreline, we would have to make Steve upset again and take 14,000 from the beach maintenance, where we has 4 million, which we already took about 100 out, 120 out. We'd take another 14 out of that.
Yeah, so there's 14,000 in here that was ineligible. Now it is eligible. So TDC will need to decide how to fund that if you're willing.
Rob?
I never remember not fully funding the Beach Nourishment Trust Fund. And So I just wondered, committee level, unfortunately I had a conflict, I couldn't be there for it. What was the conversation?
The conversation on that was that our total requests were at 13.1, and we had 12.9 available in our budget. And so as we got through the projects, we did have some that we didn't fully fund, but we took the last 140,000 out of beach renourishment after a conversation with Steve that day, if that was feasible for him and workable, which, without putting words in his mouth, I believe he said was yes. He's nodding his head back there. So we did have a conversation. We did have a conversation about that and not fully funding that portion. In addition, there was 200,000 that we did not fund for emergency cleanup, knowing full well that if the emergency cleanup was needed, we would take it out of reserves. That was the thought process on those two items.
And Steve shared the balance in the trust fund that day with the committee, and that was why he was comfortable with us backing it out of.
Because of the hurricane, we front-loaded a lot of the renourishment, and so it's actually at the stockpiling point and redoing the process, the dates. Steve, I'm not putting words in your mouth, or am I right? If you want to come up. See how well I paid attention.
Good morning, Steve Buttel with Natural Resources. You stated that very well and recalled that very well, but again, the biggest difference is that we had a lot of projects that got extra funding from the state of Florida as a hurricane response. Remember that our number is really looking out 5 and even 10 years into the future so that we have funds accumulated by the time we get there. And right now, we're actually anticipating maybe still getting some additional funds back because of grants to Fort Myers Beach and other locations. So in the short term, everything's been done in the last 2 years, so we've got time to assess and make sure that we're rebalanced by the time we get back around to the next construction. Comfortable with doing this now completely.
Thank you.
Rob, does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
We need the TDC to, yes.
We would be looking for a motion to consider the funding for J.C. Park. Pam, do I have a second?
Second.
Are you a voting member?
No, I'm sorry, I thought we were.
I'll second. Thank you. I wanted to catch that before we got to next month.
I'm sorry, I thought we were
weren't there.
going back to the workshop.
Had to do it again. So the motion on the floor is to reconsider funding $14,395 for J.C. Park shoreline maintenance. Tony?
Is that coming out then of the, the 300?
It would come out of the beach nutrition,
Okay,
the trust fund.
all right, fine. I'm okay with that. That was just, I just wanted to clarify.
That would be the change. We have a motion and a second, Pam?
Just the only thing I want to say is we had in this discussion, the only reason that, because we were all in favor, the only reason was this wasn't open, so it wasn't allowed.
Good move.
All right, so any other discussion? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so we'll make that recommendation and then accept it here in a minute. Right?
So the balance remains the same.
The balance would remain the same, and we would give, increase the funding, $14,395 for J.C. Park shoreline maintenance, while decreasing the Beach Nourishment Trust Fund by that same amount.
Okay, Thomas, can you go back to the slides? Before we approve that list of 17 projects at $12.9 million, we do need to do legislative findings. And I believe this county attorney wants us to move each.
Oh, hold one moment.
Okay.
As you all know, I refer to Andrea's judgment on anything we vote on.
The hammer.
We have a timeout on the field.
Water break.
Yep.
Who's the advertiser?
Sidebar there going on.
They were behind the pole.
Brought to you by Legal Aid.
Thank you, county attorney. She's allowed us to move them all at once, at one time, instead of 13 times. But I do need to read each of them out loud. So if you have any questions on what you're doing. We're basically asking you to make a factual determination that these projects are related to and primarily promote tourism. There's pieces within each of the projects that you need to tell us, yes, we agree, and we'll fund them. So for the City of Sanibel's request for shoreline erosion monitoring, to fund this project, TDC must make a legislative finding that this project promotes tourism. And this is a project you funded forever. The project number 3, Barrier Island Park Society, to fund interpretive signs, the TDC must make a legislative determination that the signs promote tourism. Request 4 from Captiva Erosion Prevention District to fund the purchase of a utility vehicle. TDC must make a legislative determination that this purchase promotes tourism. Request 5 from the City of Cape Coral to fund equipment and vehicles with tourist development tax revenues. The TDC must make a legislative finding that their purpose in maintaining eligible facilities primarily promotes tourism. Request number 6 from the City of Sanibel to fund signage at to fund signage and vehicle purchases. There must be a legislative finding that this portion of the project primarily promotes tourism. Request 7 from the town of Fort Myers Beach to fund equipment with tourist development tax funds. The TDC must make a legislative determination that their purchase primarily promotes tourism and they will be used exclusively for beach park facilities funded by tourist tax revenues. Friends of Lovers Key to fund signage at Lovers Key. TDC must make a legislative determination that the signage primarily promotes tourism. Request number 11 for Lee County Parks and Recreation to fund the purchase of vehicles and equipment. TDC must make a legislative determination that this project primarily promotes tourism. Number 12, Lee County Parks and Recreation to fund this project. TDC must make a factual determination that such expenditures will promote tourism. Project 14, Lee County Transit to fund this project. TDC must make a legislative determination that the main purpose of the Fort Myers Beach tram service is to attract tourists. So if we can have the TDC approve the legislative findings for these 13.
21, aren't there 2 more?
Oops, I have a couple more, I guess. Wait. I wasn't done.
Sorry, 3 more.
Wishful thinking. Okay, the request 21, Town of Fort Myers Beach to fund this project. TDC must make legislative finding that the Albatross Beach access primarily promotes tourism. Request 23, Lee County Parks and Rec. Funding for this project requires the TDC make a requisite finding that such expenditures will promote tourism within the county. That was for Bonita Beach accesses. And request number 4 for Big Carlos Pass Park, funding for parking, restroom, landscaping, and utilities that serves beach accesses may be funded with TDT revenues if the TDC makes a requisite finding that such expenditures will promote tourism within the county. Okay.
Thank you, Nancy. So I'm looking for a motion to make the findings on all 13 that were just read by Nancy. Julius with the motion. Do I have a second, Pam? Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, we'll call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes.
Okay, the final action we need from you today is to approve the 17 projects in this last blue column, 12.909962 for next fiscal year.
So I'm looking for a motion to approve the 17. Thank you, Bill. Second, Rob. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. And then you'll work up with, or Pam will work with Commissioner
Yes,
Pendergrass or
schedule
Pam,
that
or whomever is doing that to get that workshop done so we can talk about other tourism assets. Thank you. All right. More council information.
There are some reading materials included in your packet, and additionally, I want to point out we have received the information about Governor's Conference. Governor's Conference will be held September 9th through 11th in Palm Beach, West Palm Beach, excuse me. And the BCB is going to be sending you a survey and to see if you would like to participate in that. So please be looking for that. that email shortly, and we will take care of your registration and your hotel reservation. There you go. Strongly encourage our DEC members
To join in on Governor's Conference. It's a great experience. For those of you who have done it in the past, you can tell your colleagues, but you learn a lot about what's going on in the state of Florida, about tourism statewide, and efforts that are underway. There are also growth opportunities. There are sessions where you can see what other people are doing, and most importantly, we hope that there will be some little statues that come back to Fort Myers during the award ceremony for good marketing work on our behalf. But it is really a good experience, and I think you learn a lot. It's always good to know what's going on in your community, but it's also good to know what's going on outside your community, and the value of that event is very strong. So please consider joining in.
Great, thank you.
Quick question. I've not been able to attend before based on calendar. It looks like this year I might be able to. Do we have to go in the night of the 8th to be there? What time does it start on the 9th?
Apologies, I don't know that I have looked at the, it typically starts with an evening event.
The 9th is a dinner event, so it's arriving anytime. Okay. I highly recommend making the dinner event. That's where the awards, it's a great network.
Usually there's great speaker, I mean, it's a good event. Yep.
I think in the 14 years I've been going, it was the first time the governor actually came to the governor's conference.
I think the last time was Bush.
I remember Governor Scott being at some governor's conferences, so, yes, the governor's not always there, but it is held obviously in honor of the governor's office, and it is a good event. Typically starts with that evening event. I think there's a reception beforehand, and then all day on the second day, and then it's a half day typically on the third day, just for your knowledge. We'll get you, when we send you your email, you will get the schedule for it as well.
Great, thank you. Anything else?
No.
TDC member items. Tony, we'll start with.
Real quick, big shout out and thanks to the Committee on Beach and Shore. I know what a grind that is going through, so thank you guys for doing such a great job. Very exciting time for us. We're going to open up Beachview Villas. It'll be taking bookings for Memorial Day weekend. We're having a little kickoff, invited people by invited for the 16th. But just so you know, the capacity, it's 11 one-bedroom suites, 10 junior suites, and then the front unit that goes up and down is the 4-bedroom, 4-bath unit, unique to Sanibel in the resort housing district. So it can be rented daily or weekly, etc. That's it.
Rob.
Just really, real quick, everybody's been talking about this water quality, and I think there's been a big debate as to whether some of these big projects coming online have assisted with that, or obviously we're in a sort of a drought that is most likely assisting with that. But I think we can all sit here and say, man, if we could get better water quality more consistently, it would be amazing, not only for tourism, but for the people that live here in Lee County. I mean, it's been beautiful in the river and out on the coast. So keep pushing the right letters and trying to keep that water flow under control coming out of Lake O. I think it makes a big difference.
Following what Rob said, Preserving Paradise applications are open. That was a joke, but yeah, no, I agree wholeheartedly. I think it's been a long time since we've seen the water quality this good this late in the year, and it certainly has a lot to do with the drought, but it has a lot to do with personal stewardship as well. So no, thanks for that. I just wanted to, from a FRLA perspective, had a great April luncheon at the Lee County School District headquarters featuring foods that were prepared by local hospitality and culinary students, and a presentation by Lark. It's building momentum towards our October culinary cook-off again in Shangri-La Springs in Bonita. and there's more to come on that. We also had a phenomenal Islands night. I want to thank Parks and Rec again for the work that they do out there. It is spectacular, and I think we talk about it every single spring training, but it doesn't get talked about enough. The advantage that we have here in Lee County because of that Parks and Rec team to draw amateur sports to our region. And then lastly, just want to mention that both Hasbro and Avalon Games had never been nominated for an award before, and the Sanibel game not only was nominated, but won the UK Games Expo Award for Best Family Game last week. And so we're really, really excited about that. Other big news is that game will be the Walmart Game of the Month in June, and it will be the Barnes & Noble Game of the Month in July. So nationwide and internationally, we'll start seeing things pay off for that. The Hasbro team is grateful for the VCB's collaboration in helping that launch. So thank you all very much.
Thank you, John. I understand Island Nights was the largest crowd that the Muscles had seen in years.
Yeah,
over 6,000.
They said since Tim Tebow showed up, and I think that's always going to be the benchmarks.
And drones.
And drone show, yeah, the first ever drone show. It was pretty spectacular, really well received, and our first Friday night Islands night. I don't think it'll be the last. And we had Bill Hammond, a former assistant county manager, was in the park, and Bill Smith was there with the Twins. So yeah, it was a wonderful night, and yeah, just a great event by the Greater Fort Myers and Sandcap Chambers. It was phenomenal.
All right, thank you, Scott.
So mark your calendars, May 30th, we're going to have our second annual Joe Boo Fest down at the Whale. It worked last year to ward off those evil H words. So it's going to be a huge event. It's going to be all day long. So, you know, let's just not protect Fort Myers Beach. Let's protect the entire area. May 30th, Saturday. It's a lot of fun. All you have to do is donate a little rum to Joe Boo, and that's all you have to do. And then finally, our fourth, we got enough funding through one of our groups to put on the 4th of July. So we're going to have a parade and fireworks. So that's really exciting for the 250. That's all I have.
Thank you.
3 brief items. Number one, I wanted to thank Nancy McPhee, who came to our Downtown Business Alliance, Benny Springs Downtown Business Alliance, and did a phenomenal job, represented everyone very well, and it was great to see business owners coming away with those aha moments. So Nancy's here somewhere. There she is. So great representative. Secondly, we're excited, and I'm very grateful for the fact that at our first June meeting at City Council, a young lady named Tamara Pagot is going to come down to Bonita and do a presentation to City Council on TDC. So Tamara, thank you. Great swan song, perfect place to do it. And finally, on Memorial Day, Monday the 25th, very excited, we have as our guest speaker a former Navy fighter pilot, aircraft fighter pilot, and also was a Blue Angel for 2 years. And he was good enough to share his address with me, and I will tell you that it'll be worth the trip down there. Just very moving and very appropriate. And some of you may know him, good-looking kid. His name's Ray Sandelli, and used to be our former commissioner. So hopefully you'll make it. But we're very proud of our Memorial Day. It's all about honoring our fallen, and hopefully you can make it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
I have nothing today. Thank you.
Okay. I had to ask.
No, you didn't.
Fine. Yeah, that's a good thing. Mr. Wachulis.
Announce that we're opening up our spa at the Pink Shell on Monday officially. It's the second part of our public approval process in improving the Pink Shell. So we opened up 2 large suites last month, the spa this month, and so we continue to improve the resort. Plus, with the spa, it was the last of our hurricane damage, so we are completely finished now. So.
Yes.
Well done.
Councilmember Snake.
Thank you. Just a appreciation for reconsideration on the dollars for maintenance at J.C. Park. If you've not been there, it's amazing. The trees will grow, they will get bigger, the shade will increase, and actually we've had an offer with the destruction of City of Palms Park to donate the trees that would come down through that destruction to bring those mature trees into J.C. Park. So we appreciate that, and we're considering what it would take to do that. But the thing that wasn't mentioned was while we opened the park there at the end of April, we actually had the ribbon cutting on the 9th. And the following day on the 10th, just to let you know your return on investment, we did a movie night at the park. And the way that the movie night was done was extremely unique in that we actually floated a barge off of the shoreline there at J.C. Park, and so the movie was visible both by boat traffic to come in and watch the movie from the water, as well as from the land, and just the land-based attendance was over 6,500 people. So for those people that somewhere along the way said nobody wants this, if that wasn't evidence that yes, people do want this, and it will attract visitors from out of the area to come and enjoy the parks and rec that we have there in the Cape is there. So very happy that you're continuing to support that for the Cape. And that's it for me. Thanks.
Yeah.
I've got nothing, thank you.
Thank you all. Hearing nothing else, we are now adjourned.
Good job. That was a marathon.